Do you remember where you were that warm July night back in 1969? If you're lying awake tonight, restless and searching for something gentle to carry you into sleep, let this story be your companion. You're not alone. Countless others have watched the clock tick past midnight, remembering younger days when the world seemed full of promise. Tonight, I invite you to journey back with me, back to a living room glowing with the soft light of a black and white television, the air thick with summer warmth and wonder. Maybe your legs feel heavy after a long day, or your thoughts refuse to settle. Breathe in slowly and exhale. Picture yourself younger, barefoot on a cool wooden floor, the faint hum of cicadas outside your window. You can almost smell the faint scent of cut grass drifting through a screen door. Somewhere, a fan creaks in the corner, lazily pushing the humid air. The world outside is quiet, but inside, the television whispers history in the making. We'll drift together, hand in hand with memory, toward that unforgettable night when humankind first set foot on the moon. You might recall the exact moment. Maybe you were crowded into your parents' den, or perched cross-legged on a shag rug with siblings and friends. Or perhaps you were working late and hurried home, only to find your neighbors gathered around a single glowing screen. Wherever you were, the feeling was the same: awe, unity, and a childlike belief that anything was possible. Tonight's story isn't just about the moon landing, it's about your story. The laughter of friends now far away, the hopes you held as a teenager under starlit skies, the way the world felt open and grand. As you listen, you might find your eyelids growing heavy, your breath slowing, your worries dissolving into the soft edges of memory. That's the magic of remembering together. Before we begin, I'd like to gently invite you, if you're enjoying these journeys through time, to subscribe or follow this channel. Not as a demand, but as a small way to keep these warm stories arriving at your bedside. Your memories matter here, and your presence makes this little corner of the night sky brighter. So settle back against your pillow. Adjust the blanket around your shoulders. Let the soft hum of nostalgia fill the room. Outside your window tonight, the moon still glows, just as it did all those decades ago. Close your eyes for a moment and picture its silver light washing over quiet streets, shining on rooftops and slipping through curtains. In just a moment, we'll step through time and open the door to that July evening. You'll hear the distant voices of newscasters, the murmur of neighbors, and the crackle of an old TV set. Together, we'll watch a footprint press into lunar dust, and we'll remember how it felt to believe in miracles. The summer of 1969had a way of wrapping itself around you like a soft, worn quilt. The days were long and golden, filled with the hum of lawnmowers and the distant laughter of neighborhood kids chasing fireflies. At dusk, the air cooled just enough to invite families onto porches, where rocking chairs creaked gently and sweet tea sweated in tall glasses. Back then, televisions were sturdy boxes of wood and glass, their knobs clicking with a satisfying sound. Most families had just one, and when something important happened, the living room became a gathering place, no matter how small or humble. On this particular July evening, every screen in America seemed to glow with the same promise. A man was about to walk on the moon. The thought was almost impossible to believe, even for a generation that had already seen so much change. Civil rights marches, protests for peace, and music that seemed to reshape the very air. Picture yourself in a modest suburban neighborhood, the streets lined with elms and maples casting long shadows under a rising moon. The scent of barbecue still lingers faintly from dinner, and somewhere down the block, a dog barks at nothing in particular. You approach your childhood home, a single-story house with white siding and green shutters, and step onto the porch. The screen door gives a familiar squeak as you push it open. Inside, the living room is alive with anticipation. The sofa is a bit lumpy, its floral upholstery faded from years of use, but tonight no one cares. The coffee table is crowded. Bowls of popcorn, half-empty glasses of lemonade, and a transistor radio set aside after someone realized the TV's commentary would be enough. Your father adjusts the rabbit ear antenna, tapping it just so to clear the static. Your mother smooths the doily on the armrest, more out of habit than necessity. The glow from the TV dances across the walls, turning everyone's faces soft and silver. Outside, the world is holding its breath. Across the country, families like yours are huddled close, sharing a rare sense of unity. Strangers who might never have spoken to each other are tonight exchanging knowing smiles, whispering in awe at what humanity is about to achieve. Even the crickets seem quieter, as if nature itself understands the significance of the moment. You sit cross-legged on the carpet, the fibers rough beneath your knees. Your younger sibling nestles beside you, clutching a stuffed animal, their eyes wide and unblinking. The clock ticks steadily on the wall, each second pulling you closer to history. Somewhere, faintly, you can hear a neighbor's TV through an open window, echoing the same voices. It feels like the whole world has become one enormous living room. The announcer's voice is calm, but carries a subtle tremor, as if even he can't quite believe what he's reporting. The astronaut's words crackle through the speakers, punctuated by bursts of static, and you lean forward, as if proximity to the screen might bring you closer to the moon itself. Your father, who usually reserves his admiration for baseball legends and war heroes, sits unusually still, his eyes reflecting the flickering light. Your mother places a hand on his arm without looking, her other hand resting lightly on the bowl of popcorn. The room smells faintly of furniture polish and the lingering aroma of supper. Fried chicken and mashed potatoes, a Sunday night feast held over for this special occasion. Outside the window, the moon hangs high and full, as if it knows it's being watched. You glance at it briefly, marveling that a man is about to touch that distant, glowing sphere. The thought sends a small shiver through you, not of cold, but of awe. The conversation in the room is minimal now. Earlier, there had been chatter, arguments over who would get the best seat, playful teasing about the astronaut's chances, and your brother's insistence that someday he would fly a rocket too. But now, as the world watches, silence settles like a blanket. The only sounds are the soft hum of the fan in the corner, the announcer's measured words, and the quiet thump of your own heartbeat. Even the popcorn bowl is momentarily forgotten. Somewhere outside, a firework pops in the distance, perhaps a neighbor unable to contain their excitement, or maybe just coincidence. It startles no one. Instead, the small burst of color beyond the curtains feels like a fitting prelude to the spectacle about to unfold on the screen. Your family leans forward, shoulders touching, breath held. Time itself seems to slow, as if the world has paused out of respect for what's about to happen. You can feel your eyelids grow a little heavier, lulled by the steady rhythm of the voices on TV and the comforting presence of your loved ones. But you don't want to miss a moment. You reach for the arm of the sofa for balance, your fingers brushing against your mother's hand. She gives a small squeeze, a silent reminder that you're sharing something extraordinary. Years later, that small gesture, the gentle press of her hand, will stand out in your memory just as much as the moonwalk itself. The glow of the screen flickers, and for a heartbeat, the picture wavers. Your father adjusts the antenna again, muttering softly under his breath. Then the image steadies, a grainy black and white view of a stark, alien landscape. The astronaut's voices crackle once more, and the room collectively exhales. You realize you've been holding your breath. The air feels electric, charged with anticipation and history. Outside, the moon continues its silent watch, unchanged, yet somehow transformed in the hearts of everyone gazing up at it tonight. The living room feels suspended between worlds, the ordinary and the extraordinary. Outside, the crickets resume their song, unaware that humanity is about to take a step that will echo for generations. The street lights cast soft pools of yellow on the asphalt, and the occasional car passes, its headlights briefly sweeping across your curtains. But inside, nothing can pull your attention from the glowing screen. Your father clears his throat, a subtle sound that in any other moment might go unnoticed. Tonight, it carries weight. He had grown up in an era when planes were still marvels, when long-distance phone calls felt like science fiction. To him, the idea of walking on another world borders on the miraculous. You glance at him and see the reflection of the TV dancing in his eyes, a boyish gleam you rarely see these days. Your mother notices too. She smiles softly, as if remembering the young dreamer she married. The camera on the screen shifts, and you catch a glimpse of the lunar module's shadow stretching across the gray dust. The image is grainy, but somehow that imperfection makes it more real. You shift on the carpet, feeling the rough weave press into your palms. Your sibling whispers something, but you barely hear. Every sense is focused on that flickering image. Even the popcorn bowl sits untouched now, kernels growing stale under the heat of the lamp. A soft breeze slips through the open window, carrying the scent of summer jasmine and cut grass. It mixes with the warm aroma of the house, old wood, fabric softener, the faint trace of supper. Somewhere down the block, a screen door bangs shut, and you wonder if your neighbors are watching too. In your mind's eye, you can almost see them. Mr. and Mrs. Parker next door, their teenage son sprawled on the floor, the elderly couple across the street, holding hands on their worn sofa, the whole neighborhood connected by a thread of wonder. The announcer's voice deepens, steady but trembling with awe. In just moments, he says, we may witness the first human steps on the moon. You draw in a breath, realizing you're clutching your sibling's hand without noticing. Around the world, millions are doing the same. Families, friends, strangers, bound together by a single, breathtaking event. The hum of the television seems louder now, the static like a heartbeat. Your father leans back slightly, but his eyes never leave the screen. He had served in the military years ago and carries a quiet pride in America's accomplishments. Tonight, though, his pride feels different, softer, more human. He isn't thinking of politics or competition. He's thinking of possibility. Your mother, sitting beside him, smooths her skirt, a small, nervous gesture. She glances at you and offers a reassuring smile, though you can see her own excitement behind it. The clock on the wall ticks steadily, each second a gentle reminder that history is unfolding in real time. The hands inch closer to the hour, and you can feel the anticipation building like a held breath. The fan in the corner groans as it rotates, stirring the warm air. The sound is comforting, grounding, a reminder that even in extraordinary moments, the familiar world keeps turning. You think about the music you've been listening to that summer. The Beatles on the radio, the Motown records spinning at neighborhood parties, the songs that seem to define your generation. Those melodies echo faintly in your memory now, a soundtrack to a season of change. Just weeks ago, you were riding your bike down these same streets, the wind in your hair, wondering what the future might hold. And now, here you are, watching that future unfold on a flickering screen. Outside, the moon seems impossibly bright. It hangs over the rooftops like a guardian, glowing with a quiet pride. You wonder if the astronauts can see Earth as clearly as you can see them, our blue planet spinning silently in the darkness. The thought fills you with a strange mix of smallness and wonder, like standing at the edge of the ocean and realizing how vast the world truly is. A neighbor's child laughs suddenly, a quick, bright sound carried on the evening air. It breaks the hush for a moment, a reminder that even as history unfolds, life's small joys persist. Somewhere, a baby cries, a door slams, a record player clicks off at the end of a song. The ordinary world continues, but tonight, it feels touched by magic. Every sound, every breath seems connected to something larger. Your sibling leans their head against your shoulder, heavy with drowsiness but unwilling to close their eyes. You place an arm around them, your own heart fluttering with anticipation. You want to remember every detail, the way the TV light paints the room, the softness of the carpet, the comforting presence of your family. You know, even now, that decades later you'll summon these memories when the world feels uncertain. You'll recall the warmth, the unity, the hope that filled the room tonight. The announcer speaks again, his tone hushed. We are moments away. The words hang in the air, fragile and electric. The TV screen flickers once more, and you lean closer. Your father rests a steadying hand on your shoulder. Your mother exhales, a soft sigh that seems to release some hidden tension. The clock ticks, the crickets sing, the moon waits, and you, wide-eyed and breathless, wait too. Somewhere deep inside, you feel an unspoken certainty that the world is capable of grace, that tomorrow can hold wonders beyond imagination. Tonight isn't just about a man walking on the moon, it's about every dreamer who ever looked up at the night sky and believed. And as you sit there in that modest living room with the glow of the television and the heartbeat of your family all around you, you believe too. The television image steadies, and for a heartbeat, the room is utterly silent. Then, a voice, calm but trembling with awe, filters through the crackling speakers. We're getting a picture on the TV. A ghostly, grainy view of the lunar surface fills the screen, its shadows deep and alien. Your breath catches. This isn't a movie or a special effect. This is real. Somewhere out there, hundreds of thousands of miles away, two men hover above an unfamiliar world. Your sibling gasps softly, squeezing your hand. The weight of the moment presses gently on your chest, not as fear, but as wonder. You glance at your father. His face is lit by the television's glow, every line softened. For all his quiet strength, you can see the boy he once was, wide-eyed under a summer sky. Your mother leans forward, her lips parted slightly as if afraid a single sound might break the spell. Outside, the crickets hold their breath again. The astronauts' voices crackle, distant and delayed. The eagle has landed, comes the confirmation, and a ripple of awe moves through the room. Your father whispers, almost to himself, "We're really there." The words feel sacred, like a prayer. Across America, millions of families are murmuring the same phrase, their hearts swelling in unison. Somewhere down the block, a neighbor cheers softly, and you hear the faint echo of applause through an open window. You shift on the carpet, the rough weave pressing into your palms, and glance toward the window. The moon outside seems brighter now, more personal, as though it knows you're watching. You imagine the astronauts inside their fragile module, adjusting controls with steady hands, aware that every move will be remembered forever. The thought sends a shiver down your spine, not of fear, but of belonging. Somehow, their courage feels shared with everyone watching tonight. The announcer speaks again, his voice reverent. He describes the lunar module's hatch opening. The camera flickers and you lean closer, your heart pounding. He's coming out, someone whispers. Maybe your sibling, maybe yourself. The image on the screen shows a figure descending the ladder slowly, cautiously. The world seems to hold its breath. You can hear your mother's quiet inhale, your father's low murmur of awe. Even the fan in the corner seems to pause its creak for a moment. And then the words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." They crackle through the speakers, imperfect but unforgettable. A thrill runs through you, a warmth spreading through your chest. You feel suddenly connected to your family, your neighbors, your entire country, even to strangers across oceans who are watching this same miracle. The carpet beneath you, the soft smell of popcorn, the hum of summer night, all of it feels fused to this moment. Your sibling whispers, "He's really on the moon," their voice trembling with excitement. You nod, but words feel too small to contain what you're feeling. Your father reaches for your mother's hand, and for a second, the two of them look at each other the way they must have years ago, when everything felt new and possible. That glance lingers in your memory, proof that moments like these can revive old dreams. Outside, a distant train whistle calls, a reminder of journeys yet to come. The camera shifts again, revealing the barren, beautiful landscape. Craters stretching into the horizon, shadows etched like ink on paper. The astronaut's suit glows white against the gray dust, a fragile figure against a vast unknown. You lean forward, mesmerized. In the corner of your eye, you see your sibling blinking hard, determined not to miss a single detail. The whole room feels wrapped in a soft, invisible thread of awe. The announcer begins to speak of history, of the culmination of years of work and sacrifice. But you're not thinking of rockets or politics. You're thinking of dreams, that strange, shimmering energy that carried humans from backyards and dusty roads all the way to another world. You think of the stories your parents told about their own childhoods, about nights when the stars seemed impossibly far away. And now, here you are, witnessing proof that nothing is too distant if you dare to reach. Another cheer rises faintly from the neighborhood. A dog barks in response, then falls silent again. The clock ticks steadily, indifferent to history, its hands moving as they always do. But for you, time feels different now, stretched and suspended, as if the world has paused to savor this leap forward. You rest your chin on your knees, your heart beating softly against your chest. In that moment, you feel infinite, as if the boundaries of your own small world have expanded beyond measure. Your mother wipes at her eyes quickly, pretending she's just adjusting her glasses. Your father clears his throat again, his voice husky when he finally says, "Imagine what you kids will see in your lifetime." You glance at him, your eyes wide, and feel a flutter of excitement mixed with tenderness. The future feels close, tangible, like something you could hold in your hands. Outside, the moon continues to glow, a silent witness to humanity's promise. You shift slightly, drawing the blanket around your shoulders, even though the summer night is warm. There's a comfort in the gesture, a sense of being cocooned in this moment. The announcer describes the flag being planted, the footprints pressed into lunar dust. Each detail feels monumental yet delicate, like a whisper carried across time. You wonder if someday people will tell their grandchildren about where they were tonight, just as you're living it now. And as the astronauts bounce lightly across the surface, their movements oddly graceful in the low gravity, you find yourself smiling. It's not just about the moon anymore. It's about every backyard dreamer, every child who stared at the stars, every weary adult who needed a reminder that miracles are possible. Tonight, under the same silver moon, the whole world has become a little smaller and a little kinder. The astronauts move carefully, their boots pressing delicate prints into untouched lunar dust. On the television, Their white suits glow like lanterns against the endless gray. You lean forward, your chin on your knees, barely daring to breathe. Every bounce and step feels unreal, like watching a dream unfold in slow motion. Your sibling whispers, "It looks like they're floating," their voice hushed with wonder. You nod, still captivated. Outside your window, the moonlight spills across the yard, painting the grass silver. You think of all the nights you've looked up at that glowing circle, imagining faces or craters, and now people are there. It sends a tingling shiver down your spine, equal parts awe and joy. The announcer's voice wavers slightly as he describes the astronauts collecting rocks and dust. He speaks of science, of discovery, of progress, but in your living room, what you feel is connection. You feel the invisible threads linking your small neighborhood to Houston, to Florida, to that distant alien world. Even the quiet hum of the fans seems part of a greater symphony tonight. Your father exhales slowly, his arms crossed, his posture a little straighter than usual. You can see pride in his eyes, but also something softer, a recognition that moments like these belong not to nations, but to humanity. Your mother leans against him, her hand brushing his sleeve. Neither of them says much, but you don't need words. The silence speaks loudly enough. A faint cheer rises again outside, perhaps from a nearby house or maybe from a group gathered around a radio on a porch. The sound drifts through the warm night air, mingling with the chirp of crickets and the rustle of leaves. For a moment, it feels as if the whole world is your neighborhood, joined together under one sky. You close your eyes briefly, letting the feeling wash over you. When you open them again, the astronauts are setting up experiments, their movements steady and deliberate. You marvel at their bravery, the quiet courage it takes to step onto a world no one has ever touched. You imagine their families watching from their own living rooms, hearts full of pride and worry. You wonder what it must feel like to be them tonight, to know your loved one is dancing among the stars. The clock ticks on, but time feels different, slower, richer. You remember the summer afternoons leading up to this night, riding your bike with friends, talking about the future, listening to music that felt like rebellion and hope. Back then, the moon seemed like a faraway dream. Now, as the astronauts leap lightly across its surface, it feels almost close enough to touch. Your sibling yawns but refuses to look away. You pull the blanket higher, sharing its edge with them. The announcer describes the American flag standing proudly on the barren landscape, its colors muted in the gray dust. The image blurs slightly on the screen, but you don't mind. It's perfect in its imperfection. You know this picture will live in history books, but right now it lives in your living room, filling it with light and wonder. Somewhere in the distance, a train horn echoes, long and low. The sound blends with the announcer's voice and the faint static of the broadcast. It reminds you that life on Earth continues. Trains run, dogs bark, babies cry, even as history unfolds above. That contrast feels comforting. It means that even in moments of greatness, the ordinary rhythms of life are steady and dependable. Your father clears his throat, his voice gruff when he finally speaks. Makes you think about what's possible. You glance at him, surprised by the emotion in his tone. Your mother nods quietly, her eyes still fixed on the screen. You feel a swell of tenderness for them, for all the dreams they must have once had, for the sacrifices they've made, for the way they've guided you to this moment. The astronauts pause for a moment on the screen, gazing at Earth hanging like a jewel in the black sky. The camera lingers, and you follow their gaze in your mind's eye. You picture your world, a blue and white marble spinning silently, holding every laugh, every tear, every song you've ever known. The sight makes your chest ache with gratitude. You squeeze your sibling's hand a little tighter, As the broadcast continues, your eyes grow heavy, but you fight the urge to blink. You don't want to miss a single second. The astronauts' slow, deliberate movements feel hypnotic, like a lullaby for the eyes. The living room's familiar smells, the faint butter from the popcorn, the furniture polish, the summer air drifting through the curtains, wrap around you like a warm embrace. Your father adjusts the antenna one last time, ensuring the picture stays clear. The announcer's voice softens as he describes the astronauts preparing to leave the surface. You sense the moment shifting, the peak of the evening giving way to quiet reflection. Yet the magic lingers. The world feels changed, as if a door has opened somewhere far away, and the future is peeking through. In your heart, a new certainty takes root. If humans can walk on the moon, maybe anything is possible. Maybe the dreams you hold, the ones you've whispered to the night sky, aren't so impossible after all. The thought warms you, easing the tightness in your chest. You glance again at the moon outside, glowing steady and sure. It seems to wink back, as if sharing your secret. The astronaut's footsteps slow, and the announcer's voice grows softer, almost reverent. The peak of the evening has passed, the first step taken, the flag planted, but the magic lingers. The room feels wrapped in a hushed glow, like the calm after a summer thunderstorm. Outside your window, the moon hangs steady and silent, a patient witness to everything below. Your sibling shifts against your shoulder, the blanket slipping slightly. You adjust it, tucking it around them with care. The air in the living room has cooled a little as night deepens, but the warmth of family keeps you comfortable. You glance at your parents, your father's arms still crossed, your mother's hands folded in her lap. Their faces hold a quiet pride, but also a softness you'll remember for years. On the screen, one astronaut kneels briefly, collecting samples of rock. The camera pans slightly, revealing the lunar horizon stretching into darkness. You can almost feel the vastness of it, the endless quiet, the fragile human presence in a place so far from home. For a moment, your heart swells, not with excitement now, but with a tender, almost aching sense of connection. Outside, a gentle breeze stirs the curtains. The scent of night-blooming flowers drifts in, mingling with the familiar smell of your home. Somewhere down the street, a screen door creaks, and a distant laugh carries across the night. Even as history unfolds far away, life here remains comfortingly ordinary. That contrast makes the moment even sweeter. Your father breaks the silence first, his voice low and thoughtful. "You'll tell your kids about this someday," he says. The words land softly but firmly, like a promise. Your mother nods in agreement, her eyes never leaving the screen. You feel a small lump in your throat, surprised by how deeply his words settle inside you. Someday. Kids of your own. A future that feels just a little more possible tonight. The announcer describes the astronauts preparing to pack up their equipment. The excitement has mellowed into something quieter. Respect, awe, maybe even gratitude. You picture the engineers and scientists watching from Houston, the countless hands that made this moment possible. You picture the people around the world gathered around televisions just like yours, sharing the same breathless wonder. Your sibling yawns again, their head growing heavier on your shoulder. You let them rest there, savoring the closeness. A flicker of movement on the screen catches your eye. The astronauts pause for a moment to gaze at Earth. The announcer goes silent, letting the image speak. In that silence, you can almost hear your own heartbeat. The blue and white planet seems impossibly fragile, suspended in a vast darkness. The sight humbles you. Outside, the crickets resume their song in earnest, as if signaling that life continues. A firefly drifts lazily past the window, its brief glow a reminder of small wonders. You take a slow, deep breath, letting the weight of the moment settle gently inside you. It doesn't feel like a grand finale, but rather a soft turning of a page. The world has changed, but so quietly that it almost feels like a dream. Your father steps away from the sofa briefly, perhaps to pour himself a glass of water. You hear the clink of ice cubes and the faint creak of the kitchen floorboards. The ordinary sound is comforting, grounding you after the dizzying scale of what you've just witnessed. Your mother smooths the blanket over your sibling, her movements slow and deliberate. You catch her eye for a moment, and she gives you a small, knowing smile. The astronaut's voices crackle again through the speakers, distant and faint. The announcer clears his throat and begins to wrap up the broadcast, summarizing the night's events. You know the world will wake tomorrow with headlines and photographs, but right now the story belongs to you, to the quiet corners of homes where families have shared something unforgettable. You glance at the clock. The hands inch toward midnight, but you're not tired in the usual way. You're filled, instead, with a soft, peaceful energy. A car passes out, its headlights briefly casting long shadows across the room. The sound of tires on pavement fades, leaving behind the gentle ticking of the clock and the hum of the fan. You think of your friends, your neighbors, even strangers in distant cities, all connected tonight. That thought feels like a gentle hand on your shoulder, steadying and kind. You pull the blanket closer, not against the summer air, but against the fragile beauty of the moment. You want to hold it, to keep it safe, to carry it with you into the years ahead. As the announcer signs off, thanking viewers and marveling at the achievement, you feel a quiet gratitude for the scientists and astronauts, yes, but also for your family, for the laughter and love that fill this small living room. The moon outside glows on, indifferent yet luminous, as if blessing the night. In your heart, a thought blooms. The world is vast, and you are small, but you are part of something extraordinary. That realization doesn't stir anxiety or longing, it soothes you like a lullaby sung softly against your ear. You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. The living room, the television, the quiet world outside, they all seem to exhale with you. The television screen begins to dim as the broadcast nears its end, and the room feels just a little darker without the bright glow of the lunar surface. Your father returns quietly with his glass of water, the ice clinking gently as he takes a sip. He doesn't speak at first. He doesn't have to. The weight of the evening hangs in the air like a soft mist, comforting rather than heavy. Your mother leans back, her hands resting on her lap. She gazes at the screen, even as the credits roll, her expression a mix of awe and tenderness. "We'll remember this," she whispers, almost to herself. The simple words wrap around you like another blanket. You nod without thinking, feeling the truth of it sink in. Even your sibling, now half asleep, stirs just enough to murmur something unintelligible, a small sound that makes you smile. Outside, the neighborhood is hushed. A dog barks once in the distance and then quiets. The breeze through the window carries the faint smell of cut grass, mixed with the warm asphalt cooling after a hot July day. The ordinary world hums on, unaware or perhaps quietly aware that something extraordinary has unfolded tonight. You take another deep breath and let it fill you, grounding you here and now. Your father finally speaks again, his voice thoughtful but gentle. Imagine people walking up there on that little moon we've watched all our lives. His eyes flicker toward the window, where the real moon gleams faintly behind a thin veil of clouds. You follow his gaze, and for a fleeting second, the sky feels smaller, as if a familiar friend has just waved from far away. You feel a strange, sweet closeness to the universe. The announcer's voice fades completely as the channel returns to regular programming, but you barely notice. You're still holding on to the image of the astronauts standing in that silent world of gray dust and distant horizons. It's no longer about the spectacle, it's about the feeling it leaves behind. A sense that humanity can be brave and tender at the same time, daring and humble all at once. Your mother stands slowly, gathering the empty glasses from the coffee table. "Bedtime," she says softly, but she doesn't rush. Her movements are unhurried, as if prolonging the magic just a little longer. You and your sibling remain on the sofa, reluctant to break the spell. You trace the faint pattern on the blanket with your fingertips, memorizing the texture as if it could somehow hold the memory. As you rise, you notice the clock's hands creeping past midnight. The house creaks faintly, settling in for the night. In the hallway, the family photographs on the wall seem to glow faintly in the low light, each frame a reminder of moments already lived. Someday you think this night will be another photograph, one you'll carry inside you. The thought fills you with a warm calmness, like a candle flickering gently in the dark. You slip quietly into your room, pausing to glance back at the living room where your father is turning off the television. For a moment, you catch sight of the moon outside, framed perfectly by the window. It feels like a silent nod of approval, as if the universe is reassuring you. You belong here. You are part of this story. You smile faintly, even as a soft yawn escapes your lips. Settling into bed, you pull the sheets up to your chin. The faint sound of the fan hums in the background, a lullaby of white noise. The images replay in your mind, the grainy black and white surface, the slow motion of the astronauts, the tiny Earth hanging in the sky. They blur gently at the edges, becoming dreamlike. Your eyelids grow heavier, but instead of fighting sleep, you welcome it. Tonight, sleep feels like a continuation of the wonder, not an escape from it. Through the thin walls, you can hear your parents' voices, low and content, as they prepare for bed. Their murmurs are comforting, like a familiar song. Your sibling's door clicks shut softly. The house settles again, as though exhaling after holding its breath all evening. You turn onto your side, finding a comfortable spot on the pillow, and let the warmth of the blankets and the memory of the evening wrap around you. In the quiet darkness, you whisper a small thought. Maybe a thank you, maybe a hope for the future. It doesn't matter the words, what matters is the feeling. A gentle contentment washes over you, like moonlight spilling softly across a still lake. The world outside is vast, but here in this small bedroom, you feel safe. You feel connected to your family, to your younger self, to the millions of others who watched the same broadcast tonight. The moon outside continues its slow journey across the sky, unbothered and eternal. Somewhere out there, two astronauts are preparing to leave its surface, heading back to their ship, heading back toward Earth. But for now, you simply breathe, steady and calm. The adventure feels both impossibly far away and intimately close, as if part of you will always be standing on that silent lunar plain. As your breathing deepens, the edges of the night blur. The memory of July 1969 begins to dissolve gently into dreams, where the moon waits patiently, shining its soft light on all who dare to look up. And as you drift, you carry the evening's quiet magic with you, not as a grand story to tell, but as a soft, glowing ember to warm the years ahead. As the memory of that July night fades gently like moonlight slipping behind a cloud, I want you to settle a little deeper into your pillow. The echoes of applause from a distant era, the quiet creak of your childhood home, the glow of a black and white television, all of it has wrapped around you tonight like a familiar quilt. The moon landing wasn't just a single step on a distant world. It was proof that wonder lives in ordinary living rooms, in the laughter of siblings, in the steady hands of parents who believed in tomorrow. Maybe you remember exactly where you were on that night in 1969. Or maybe your memory has softened around the edges, leaving only the feeling, the awe, the closeness, the hush of a world holding its breath. Let that feeling stay with you now. Let it smooth the rough edges of today's worries, ease the tension in your shoulders, and remind you that you've lived through extraordinary times. You've seen heroes on the screen, loved ones gathered close, and the quiet beauty of an ordinary summer evening. Even now, as the years have passed, that same moon still watches over you. Take another slow breath. Feel the weight of the blanket, the softness of the mattress beneath you. Outside, perhaps the crickets sing just as they did all those years ago. Maybe a breeze stirs the curtains just enough to whisper, "You are safe, you are loved, and the world is still full of small miracles." As you close your eyes, imagine that silver gray horizon again, but this time see your own footprints there. You've walked your own long road through decades of laughter, tears, triumphs, and quiet moments like this. That journey has made you who you are, strong, gentle, wise. You've already reached worlds no one else can claim, simply by being you. Sleep will come soon, soft as a velvet sky. When it does, let it carry you kindly into dreams, dreams of wonder, of connection, of the moon's eternal light. Thank you for sharing this quiet story with me tonight. If it brought you comfort, or if you'd like to hear another memory from the golden years of the 60s, 70s, or 80s, I'd love to know. Leave a small comment with your thoughts or a story you'd like revisited. Your memories keep these moments alive for all of us. Now rest easy. The world outside is gentle tonight, and the same moon that watched over those astronauts shines on you still. Good night, dear friend. May your dreams be light as stardust, your heart warm with remembrance, and your sleep deep and peaceful.